Listen, thank you, friends and enemies. No, friends. Hardly any enemies have arrived tonight. Maybe one or two, but that's all. But anyway, it's your trick. There's a prize for guessing who it is, or who the two are. No, that's not fair. No, not at all. I'm just being playful. I'm being playful. I'm sorry. Now, I suppose I first of all have a duty to talk a little bit, but not very long, about all the artists who, in fact, have come together. Mostly, I think they've been to Kilroylake, and you know all about that, I'm sure. We put up now nearly 5,000 artists from all over the world, and still managed to do it rent-free. Small little utility fee for housekeeping and electricity and stuff. But, and I don't know how we've managed to do it, because we have so little help from government agencies. And you know, they are so stupid when you think about it, because I was at St Ives recently. I'm sure you all know, a lot of you know St Ives. I mean, a mad woman, a bit like me, started about 1922 or something, trying to do almost the same thing for Cornwall, for really Southwest St Ives, Southwest Cornwall. And you know, recently I visited last year. My sister had her 50th birthday or something. She took over a house there. And you know something, you could see billions in cultural tourism going into St Ives. Yes. It took 65 years, I think, for the Tate Gallery to recognise what was going on there, with Barbara Hepworth and all those amazing artists going down there for the light, and going down there for a bit of quiet, going down there for inspiration, in exactly the same type of scene. And so I don't know, it'd probably take our lot, I don't know, maybe 165 years to in fact recognise that that area down there could be, already we have, in fact we have one or two. Susan Morley is here tonight. I don't know if there's one, I think there's 3 or 4 of them now. There's not very many, I suppose, artists, I'm talking to you artists now, who have established their own independent studios down there. It's only beginning. It could happen for Southwest Ireland, just like St Ives. And they just don't get it, those people, you know, who are making decisions in government. And I've always been I've been invited in to every political party, including the Communist Party, which you're not surprised about, of course. You know, I just can't understand why they don't, you know, see the great advantage of having this most remarkable area, say, well, obviously, of course, but by the way, I don't know if you know, we turned down Mark Hamill for his residency, only because he wasn't, and Rod, you'd all know about this, I mean, he spoke the words of an artist, and I had to say to him personally. I didn't even know who he was at the time, but are you an artist? And somebody had to tell me who he was. I said, oh, but you were speaking the words of an artist. It's a different thing. And any artists who are here tonight will know what that means. Is when you get in there and you say, what the heck am I going to do here? And you know, and you start and you put a piece of paper up on the wall and you look out the window and you see islands and you see nature. And your Joseph Boyce, I don't know if any of you know, he used to come to Dublin. I missed him, I'm afraid. Terry Keane, my friend at the time, did meet him. But, you know, he said, if you put nature, art, and science together, you have the perfect universe. And that's what it is. Would you agree, you artists? Yeah. The perfect universe down there. You know, and so tonight, for me, not everybody's getting champagne, some are getting Prosecco. But for me, it's people are saying to me, oh, what are you unhappy? No, I'm not unhappy leaving her. I love new. And my next arrival in Dublin after I have to go down, there's a documentary coming. In fact, if any of you want to see one that we've left to the locals down there, Gerard Connell is here, who is our great, I mean, he's been one of the great mainstays of the project. You recognise him, he has a beard and he has a moustache, and he's very famous down there with all the artists. But you know, and he was descended from the great Sean O'Connell, who lived in one of the houses at Kilbrelly, which is our meeting house now, Tigon Cora, House of Conversation. And the thing is that, you see, all art is storytelling, all art. If it's film, if it's music, if it's writing, if it's poetry, and of course you probably know all, I won't go into any of the major artists from all over the world who've been here, who've been down to Kilbrelly. I keep on saying here. When I'm here, I keep thinking about down there as here. But all of you who haven't been there, come down in the summer. And you know, we don't let everybody up to our retreat. So you're special. So in fact, go up, and obviously we did things down there when I bought the old village, the old ruins in, what was it, 30 years ago, because I heard they were going to do some awful thing. They were going to go and knock down all the ruins of the pre-famine village, and they were going to put a new ring road, a false road at the top of Bullis Head, for the big American tour buses for 2 months a year. Now, it was nearly there. That incredible isthmus, that incredible place, could have been lost. Yeah. And that's why I invested in it. And, you know, I've had the happiest time down there, meeting so many, as 4,900 artists now or more, even to date, from everywhere in the world. And by the way, 3 years ago, we had Argentinians top artists with us. The year after that, we had South Africans leading artists and writers. And one of them was Mark Gevisser, who is now the Power. Couldn't believe that he was up in a little cottage up on Bullis Head, and went up, and she ended up, and she's about to publish a book that was written at Kilbrelly last February with her husband, who, Cass Stein, who is Barack Obama's one of his personal advisors. But they couldn't believe when they saw this place. Now, I know a lot of you know what it looks like, but some of you don't. And it is very special place. And so what I want to do in the next couple of 3 or 4 months is to find time to finish my autobiography, to do things that I've been trying to not do, and I've had so many television documentary companies wanting to do, not just the retreat, but to do me. But it's not about me and my story. It's not about my story. It's about what has happened down there and how have the locals been able to adopt this idea of these artists. Are they con artists? What kind of artists are they? You know, you can imagine, you know, the sheep farmer down the road, and he's trying to work out, you know, and now they're painting themselves now. Ger, in fact, is doing incredible paintings, and I wish he had shown some of his paintings here tonight. They're already learning about poetry. They're all learning about all of these things. It's so easy to transmit as well, you know, very casually. And any of you artists, you know exactly what it means. So, am I happy about leaving here? Yes. I'm not unhappy. I love New, and so my next space will be where I used to be. As you probably, some of you remember, Urban Retreat, where we literally sold so many paintings, it was unbelievable. And if you have 3,000 people going into the Google building, and they all have high salaries, and they all have apartments with black walls, well, you know damn well, that's a good business idea. Okay, so I'm not a bit unhappy, but I have a lot of friends here, Philip and Christian, who run the Residents Association. And I really will miss them, but we'll have to get them down to Kerry so they know what it's all about. And of course I'm a member of the United Arts Club, and I can bed down there, I suppose, if I ever come up to Dublin again. But I'm sure all of you will give me a bed anyway in your house. But whatever, if I need it, or some of you. Not my enemies, but some of you. But no, there's no enemies, sorry, I'm really so bad. I know, I'm a devil, as they say. You're a devil. You know I'm a devil, Joanne. You know I'm a devil. So listen, for me, actually, you all being here tonight is such a pleasure. Looking at all of you, you know, you've been in and out, and you've sometimes bought paintings, and sometimes you haven't, and sometimes you haven't got a bean to buy another painting, and you're just like me, they're all stacked up against the wall, and you're wondering, what the hell are you going to do with them all? How will you show, where will you get the space to put them